to share 10 things that you do not want to pack on your trip to the Boundary Waters. Of course, some people might have different opinions, or you might have different needs, and this probably won't pertain to every single person that watches this, but in my opinion, you don't want to bring these things to the Boundary Waters. Packing for a Boundary Waters trip takes a lot of time, effort, and planning, especially if you haven't done a lot of trips already, or if you haven't done other backpacking canoe style trips. I mentioned this in another video, but don't pack firewood. First of all, you're not allowed to pack firewood into the Boundary Waters. There are rules in place to protect the pristine Boundary Water. Bringing firewood in can be very dangerous to the ecosystem. Also, it would be no fun at all to carry that around with you, portage it, whatever. Another thing not to pack with you into the Boundary Waters is a chainsaw, because you are, first of all, not allowed to do that. You cannot have motorized equipment in the Boundary Waters, at least not most of the Boundary Waters, and so you don't bring a chainsaw. If you're gonna gather your own wood, bring an axe. Also, that'd be awful to carry again. I don't know what else to say about that, just don't bring a chainsaw. Another thing not to pack with you into the Boundary Waters is a very loud speaker. If you really like music, you can listen to music in the Boundary Waters. Like, I'm not here to tell you not to do that if you really enjoy that, but you're in a quiet, pristine location where it's a very sacred place for people to go and enjoy the peace and quiet of nature. And I've been on a Boundary Waters trip where people camping on the lake that I was on brought a speaker and listened to really loud 80s rock music the whole time, and it was really sad, especially because there were probably other people on the lake that it was their first time camping, their first time in the Boundary Waters, and then like that kind of, it's not what the Boundary Waters is. And I think it's important to respect other people's experience and keep the noise pollution down as much as possible. If you want to bring headphones, like, that's awesome, good for you. Do not pack glass bottles with beverages or anything else in it, or tin. If you have some kind of medical device or something like that that needs to be contained in a tin container, or like bug spray or something like that, you can bring that into the Boundary Waters. Recontainer your Coke that came in a glass bottle, put that into a plastic Nalgene, bring that with you into the Boundary Waters. Don't bring fireworks. I don't know, I feel like this rule is said so many times. I feel like I see it everywhere. You're not allowed to bring fireworks into the Boundary Waters. I don't know who whatever thinks about bringing fireworks into the Boundary Waters. Like, that's just not the vibe. But yeah, you're not allowed to bring fireworks into the Boundary Waters. Not even on the 4th of July. Don't bring your non-replaceables with you into the Boundary Waters. If you have a family heirloom necklace, don't wear that into the Boundary Waters. Things get broke in the Boundary Waters. Durable things get broke. You're gonna lose things. Nice clothes, don't wear that. I go through a lot of clothes when I'm camping in the Boundary Waters, and I buy high quality clothing, but things get broke, lost, and it's not easy to find things in the dirt or the lake. Don't bring your drone. You cannot fly your drone anywhere in the Boundary Waters. It's not allowed. Don't bring it. Don't fly it. I have a video where I was camping near the Boundary Waters where I flew my drone, and a lot of people see that video and they tell me like, oh, you're not supposed to fly drones in the Boundary Waters. I know, and I wasn't, and I wouldn't break that rule. Yeah, don't do that. Even state parks, you cannot fly your drone at state parks. Don't bring your untrained pet to the Boundary Waters, or your pet that's never been camping before. So many pets get lost in the Boundary Waters. Some are found, some aren't. Once your pet is lost in the wilderness, you're kind of helpless at that point unless it comes across other people and they can somehow get your pet and bring it out with them. It's really heartbreaking, and your pet might do great in its normal day-to-day life, but if it's never been camping or in that situation before, be very careful about that. And I highly recommend keeping your pet on a leash when you're out and about and on trails. If your dog's gonna bark a lot, think about the noise pollution. Just be very thoughtful about your pet if you decide to bring your pet to the Boundary Waters. Don't bring a canoe cart to the Boundary Waters. There are like carts that have wheels on the side. They can like put your canoe on. It makes it easy to pull your canoe on trails. First of all, it's not gonna work on most of the portages in the Boundary Waters. Trying to pull your canoe on those paths that are like not maintained and super rocky and have roots everywhere, like it's just not gonna work very well. Even if it's a portage that would work kind of well, you're not allowed to have like wheeled things. Like a bicycle isn't allowed, like wheels you're not allowed to have in the Boundary Waters, so you can't bring a cart like that. There are a few portages that you are specifically allowed to do that. I don't know where those are because I've never done that, but in general, you don't need a cart. Don't buy a cart. If your canoe is too heavy to carry on your own on these portages, then rent a canoe from an outfitter that's lighter. The final thing that you do not want to pack with you in the Boundary Waters is a large cooler. They're not bear proof. They are not easy to hang from a tree, and they're not easy to portage. So backpacking your food or putting it in some kind of pack or even like a barrel of some type, just think about how you're gonna hang your food, how you're gonna keep your food away from other critters, and also how you're gonna carry it. The big coolers, they're just not a good idea. I've seen people bring those into the Boundary Waters. I don't know what they do at night. Like you can't leave that sitting at your campsite, or like you're gonna cause a bear problem, not for just yourself, but like future campers who camp there as well. There are smaller like soft-sided coolers and things like that. You can still use like a cooler type thing as long as it'll fit into something that you can like hang or put in a bear safe container, and be smart about it that way. These are things that I just don't bring on your trip to the Boundary Waters. If you have questions or want clarification on these things or other things about what to bring on your trip to the Boundary Waters, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful for you, please subscribe to my channel. I make a lot of content like this and it means a lot to me when you subscribe.